Okay, thank you for watching here on YouTube live at Blooming Light. And I decided to go from the TikTok to the YouTube. I'm playing with TikTok a little bit right now, here and there, keeping it open. But I have TikTok under review. Okay, me and my team has TikTok, me and my ancestors, my support team, has TikTok under community guidelines review at this time. So you guys will see me there. I'm playing with it, doing a purge over there, and filling out the vibe. I'm all about investing where I'm guided, okay? So you all will see me bounce back and forth. Also, I'm on Facebook. Here soon you'll see me live over there. I'll need to upload the link because it's a specific Facebook that you guys need to go to, okay? The other ones aren't active, so you would need to go to a specific Facebook if you were trying to connect or communicate with me, okay? Anywho, thank you for watching. It is, if you're logged on live, as I said earlier, this is Sunday, September the 14th, 2025. It's approximately 11:19. So this is about justice. 19 is about illumination and enlightenment. Okay, it's about, transforming, evolving past what we think. Okay, those of you who may not know me, you may be new to the channel. Just check out everything when you can, if you got it. I have, like many of my own culture, a background in Christianity. Okay, the growing up in church and the background was more religious in nature, meaning that it was really just that. It was religious. Heartfelt, life-altering, transforming inside out, not so much. Okay? Later in life as a young woman, by the time I hit my late 20s, that's when that happened for me, where it went from the traditions to wholehearted all in what's called relationship with the Lord. Okay? If you don't know about all that, I was in all the way. Okay? Up into, getting into leadership, teaching, running ministries, prayer team, intercessor, praise team, cleaning toilets, like I did it all. Okay? Folks don't understand me, dang. Anywho, the teachings, okay? So I'm gonna invite you all. My disclaimers is this for information purposes. Okay? Listener, your discretion is advised. This is from my take, and the reason it was brought to me, and I want to talk about it because I've seen all of the extremes. So I'm going to come from an angle just to invite people in any walk of life to see this from an energetic perspective. And I'm going to even reference the text in which they read. Okay, so going from, the background of Christianity like that to spirituality to neither, because I now understand what I understand. It's all the same. Coming out of different holes. And it all has potential for devastation and damage based on the being. Here, Jezebel is commonly associated with lust. It is commonly associated with seduction. It is commonly associated, that's the traditions, especially some of us that's olden days, we know that full well. It was associated with a chick wearing red lipstick, red nail polish, that had a reputation of being promiscuous, a night walker. Those were the things that back then it was commonly associated with. And sometimes even still today, people have a tendency to think that that's what it's about. the energy behind the story of Jezebel. And it's not. I'm going to bring out some points. The energy is both male and female. Sex is used. It's one of the oldest rituals of existence. It holds all elements. That's why. It's powerful, it's potent. In one act, we have all the elements. And if you add some extra accessories, you're really doing something good and plenty. Okay, some extra shiznit. Whoa. So, it's used, but it's not really what people are taking it as for the reasons. In the text, if you look out the layout of the energy of the person, Jezebel, it's a way more involved. It participated in what I find fascinating, wondering if anybody's going to catch it in 2025. Blood sacrifices. Blood sacrifices, you heard correctly, of humans. It wasn't the blood sacrifice like, you know, throughout the scripture you see, even though that's something, but anyway, you see, you know, oh, chicken, lamb, all that stuff. No, of humans, bitch. Babies. That was their rituals. Did you hear that closely? Rituals. This is a practice now. Now, fascinatingly enough, this could be, it could have been, we don't know. It's just something we're reading from the backdrop, right? It could have been a double life thing. It could have been hidden except for their inner circle, and everybody else outside of their little world might maybe not have known anything about that. Another thing that was common to the entity or to the person, the being, the energy, Jezebel, is orgies. Okay, again, this ain't even about an assault on sexuality. I'm too liberal for that. Okay, I'm not approved. This was a ritualistic thing. See, it's, again, even their very orgies were not for the reasons in which you would think. These were rituals. Remember, you just heard me say that sex is one of the oldest, most potent spells. And it holds all the elements. It's a bonding agent, it glues. Entities involved, that's the added accessories, bitch. You know, to go ahead and you know, get people under control. See, but nobody would look at it. We just see it as, oh, they just stank nasty, right? Oh, they just want to be, nah, not it. No, that's not why. That ain't why I was doing that. Control, baby. It was to tether beings to them. Okay? So we have already, wait one, blood sacrifices. We have blood sacrifices. We have orgies. We have manipulation, gossip, tearing down, emasculating, you know, even though it is both male and female, but emasculating leadership by way of manipulation, emasculating anyone who is in a position of power but weak. Let's say they like to target fallen angels, if you will, for lack of better words. In other words, someone who may very well have a pure heart or had a pure heart or have a soul instead of being a soulless human, have a soul, an actual soul. That they did not want to do the work. And they let the ego and their pain and their addictions and their this and that kind of take over, and they kind of prey on that because they want to harvest that energy too. Okay? The connection with that is still going to give them a harvest or harnessing that energy. And then they can puppeteer essentially what the energy did to Ahab. Emasculate them, and they don't even know that they have been emasculated. That's some potent shit when it shit. It happened, you don't know. You still think you done that nigga. That's fucked up. Oh, I'm just sitting there thinking about it like in real life, like applying it to modern, and that's, I'm like, that's fucked up. They crave power. They're definitely the clout chasers of the biblical times. Okay? They crave power, authority, wealth. You know, in the biblical scriptures where it says all manner of, the words were debauchery and lasciviousness. All manner of evil, Bible talk. And it's at any cost. And I chose the evil stepmother image because for me, I just felt like that might be fitting. This is a woman that wanted power and control at all costs. She wanted what wasn't hers, and she was willing to be cruel for it. She wanted status. She wanted her and her little karmic ass daughters, you know what I'm saying? To have what wasn't rightful, what wasn't honorably and correctly and sovereignly theirs. They wanted the high society life. They wanted all the privileges. They wanted all the oohs and ahs and the fanciful things. And it's nothing wrong with wanting those things. It's to them, it's the energy and the practices and what they're willing to do. Methodical. You see her holding her hands, and that's what that energy is. It whispers in the head of the masculine leader their weaknesses in a very unique way, because sometimes they deal with this masochist. A wounded masculine often deals with a masochist energy about themselves. Yes, sir. So they like that toxicity. They liked it. They liked the pain. They liked the torture. They liked the abuse, the drama. And that energy is drawn to it. They lean. But they bounce. See? And that's what keeps that. They call it the cycle of abuse. long before we had any DSM-5s. Okay. Which I recently found out that the DSM-5 is not really based on scientific data. Now that fucked me up in the head good and plenty. I thought that the DSM-5 was based on actual scientific data. And it wasn't, y'all. I was listening to someone that I'm following on one of their teachings, and they brought out some proofs and information regarding it. They brought us some stats and facts. And come to find out, the DSM-5 is just based on peer review. Peer review in the industry. Yep. And one of the things that they highlighted was, it was a point in history where being a homosexual, you were diagnosed as having a mental illness, and they would proceed to attempt to provide treatment to that person for that. And then later in life, I think they said it was in 1971 maybe, where the DSM-5 or the industry, because I don't know if it was DSM-5 was created yet, the industry, people, leaders, then once again peer review decided that it is no longer a mental illness. And he highlighted, this content creator, he said, what happened? He said, do you see that from one moment it was the strike of a pen that determined, it wasn't scientific data, it was the strike of a pen, that a moment ago that was considered a mental illness, and then with peer review, deciding differently with the stroke of a pen, it changed. That's some shit, isn't it? That one fucked me up, and it's got me thinking about a whole lot of everything, because it's like, that's my whole point of a whole lot of shit I be talking about all the time. How a lot of stuff was just designed to have a reason to torture motherfuckers when it's convenient. Anyway, back to topic. So, even when the energy is coming in a soft form or a softer package, because that's what's known as what's called a either collapsed narcissist or a vulnerable one. Those are, in my opinion, more dangerous, my opinion, because again, they're the damsels, they're the, you see what I'm saying? They're the ones that look all doe-eyed and yeah, behind the scene, that energy and whatever is at the core and the root of it. Okay, because the softness could also be the alluring factor, but then, you know, once you get in, and that's where it all unfolds, but by then it's far too late. It's too late. It's too late. It done fucked up everything, fucked up all shit. And killed motherfuckers, you know, folks was pure, you know what I'm saying? And killed children and all manner of shit. It's too late. He became a shell of a man. He just was a body, yo. I'm serious. From that perspective, I'm not trying to stake claim that these are real events and they lived. I can't back that up. So I can't do that. But I'm using it based on the storyline and all its implications, shell of a man. There's a body totally controlled by that thing. And not even know it. Because the wounds, it has to find, because it ain't, listen, it ain't doing that. It needs, because that's too much. You know, we need somebody with control, bitch. Okay? So, it's gonna lead into their trauma, their insecurities, their Achilles heel, their kryptonite. And it's gonna work the hell out of it. And this is how they're able to do that. Because remember, they still got that sex spell. Keep that at the forefront, because if some of you are wondering, like, why would they let themselves be put in that? So, the whole love bombing, right? That whole cycle. And once you can solidify these sex rituals, remember we talked about that first. Those are the bonding spells, the bonding. And that's also how they infiltrate brain. I think, now I can't be quoted, I'm gonna have to go back and research on that. I think with this, the sexual act, especially, no protection, that something with the fluids and exchanges or some shit like that, like going into brain or something. I'm gonna have to double check, because I was like, what kind of shit? Is it trippy? And, we're not taught any of that stuff, and so nobody's thinking that when you're finna have sex. Anyway, ain't nobody thinking about that. You're finna get down with the get down. Ain't nobody thinking about, you know what I'm saying? Well, I bet you I am now. I bet you is too at this point. So, these men usually be full of guilt. Like I said, they usually, whether they know it or not, are masochists. So they usually be plagued with guilt because there's a part of their consciousness that knows they're off path for themselves. Okay? And so it's this masochist. It's like punishment. A form of self-harm and self-hatred, allowing themselves to be dominated and abused by their own wife, their own girlfriend, whatever. A lot of these men have the mother issues, and so the Jezebel energy, or flip it and flop it, however you need, represents that parentalhood. Okay? They seek to do away with anything that is pure, even though they claim to be pure. Isn't that funny? They have these sex rituals, the orgies, and the sacrificing of babies, humans, and all of these other things, wanting all this power and authority, and they want the persona and the praise and acclaim, and publicly, and for the town square, and as supreme. Benevolent, but they seek to actually destroy everything that actually is. They seek to destroy innocence. Okay, look, the babies that they're sacrificing, that's representing innocence. That's purity. Disabled people, once again, that's representing innocence. That's purity. People with pure hearts, pure minds, they seek, they target they target and they get their clan and their coven to target and harass and hunt down and attempt to kill anything that is pure. Sounds familiar yet? Because the pureness is a threat to that energy. They consider it a threat and a reminder. It's the self-loathing, it's a mirror, it's many things. And so they're scapegoating it. And they don't even know that they're scapegoating it. They're trauma dumping on it. And they don't even know that they're trauma dumping on it. The earlier read that we had here, where there was some karmic feminists who, it was like, so they want to be a part of a cult. You know what came to mind after? The cult leader that had been coming out of a lot of the readings that we were having. The cult leader that could have very well been the leader in which these karmics wanted to join could have been the collective's sibling. Exes, sibling, family members. Now draw the connection. So the cult leader just so happens to be the collective's relative. And they get people together. The goal, the hazing was destroy my sibling. I'm gonna say it again. The hazing was destroy my sibling. Can you take them out? Can you get them in trouble, get them caught up? Can you unalive them? Can you get them to stop doing this? I want you to, the thing you need, harass and torture the hell out of my sibling and my nephew, bitch. But does it sound familiar yet? See, the reason why I'm bridging the two, and I'm speaking of it in this way, because most people are just sitting up there reading Bible stories. That's why I do that. Most folks aren't applying shit. They read it, they ooh and ah, and they get high. Off of who can speak the more eloquent, bitch, and the revelations, and but anytime it comes to real time shit, nothing. It sends people. It hides behind its minions. When you look at the story in scriptures, it's the same thing it did. It sent people. It didn't do shit itself. Not really. Except for go around whispering in the ears of people and sending threatening letters and messages. It has no respect and no regard. And that's the same thing that we're seeing now, isn't it? But very ritualistic. So these energies are possibly flooded in churches and flooded in anything anything that's ritualistic, anything that is surface or shallow. Because again, it's like a sociopathic type of vibe. It wants to be seen as pure and everything that it's not. So it's trying to like vomit out its self-hatred in a sense on the things that they're doing to the things or the beings that are pure. And by reversing it, because again, there you go, destiny swap. Watch The Dark Shadow, a movie. I think it's either on Netflix or Hulu. The bad character in that one is, to me, a supreme example of a Jezebel energy. She was gone, bitch. Whole shit was gone. And this was all behind a dude. It was all. It was behind a dude, yo. So, if we can demystify it, despiritualize it, de-religify it, if we can manage to find a way, no matter what belief systems that we're on, that's why I said I wanted to come from this perspective, because it really, whatever you want to attribute these sorts of acts, actions, and behaviors, whether you want to say somebody's just got a mental problem, whether you want to say it's an entity, whether you want to say it's somebody's energetic system is fucked, whether you want to believe that, you know, there are some beings that are human without souls, anything and everything in between. Just getting to the simplicity and accepting and looking at energy and actions for what they are. Characteristic traits, tendencies, secrets, double lives, mannerisms. I'm sure she was charismatic, because how do you get in? I'm sure. And if we want to even draw that into target individuals, so target individuals usually are more pure, I didn't say perfect, more pure in essence, even if they have flaws and mistakes and things that, you see what I'm saying? And it's a vibration and frequency that the energy of that can feel, sense, and recognize, so it will get a group and anyone else they can. To say, take out my sibling. And don't tell nobody. A part of it is do all this, don't tell anybody, deny it. So if they even try, then we can continue the story and narrative that they're crazy and they're losing it. Don't tell them, you know me. Don't tell them I come here. Don't tell them. And they will usually lie. You know, that's definitely one of the main things, lie. Ahab energy is a flying monkey and an enabler, and so he lies for her. Okay. And so does anyone that the energy recruit, anybody that ends up in their web. They lie. But Jezebel lied to Ahab in a sense of she twists a lot to convince him things. She doesn't disclose a lot. She will mislead, much like she do the recruiting of her covens. They have to get people riled up to want to be a part of whatever that cause is. And so they have to create something that would make these men want to hurt purity, to make them see purity as her and her as pure. And they can do it because they already got that sex magic on them. That can be done. That's easy. They already got their clenches deep. They deep, bitch. Some of these niggas ain't gonna make it. Sorry. Sorry, L. Sorry, not sorry. Some of these motherfuckers ain't gonna make it. Ain't gonna make it, bitch. Because by the time, like the scriptures in which they read, it's too late. What I find fascinating, I think that in the scriptures, the story there, her demise is fascinating. Somebody said, walk the plank, bitch, by her. Look at her ass, bitch. This hoe has been causing problems, bitch. She done tricked our ass. We in trouble, bitch. We sitting here, shit happening in this motherfucker. And the animal kingdom did the rest. She was animalistic. But what I find fascinating is that it seems like that brings on the liberation. It's almost kind of like a spell breaking, isn't it? It's interesting, huh? It's fascinating, it's intriguing, it's something that where you're like, I want to look into that, because why? Like, why? What does that have to do? You know, the passing of that body. What does that have to do with the ongoing spells? Maybe it's because that vessel is no longer and it's tethered. You know, it's tethered. So since it's tethered, maybe that's why it's dissipated. I don't know, I'm troubleshooting. Where people all of a sudden can see, or they can see from another perspective, or they, you know, then they can heal, or then they could, you know, evolve. But it's not, it's, you know, for the one, especially for the ones that, yeah, that been in their clenches for 30 years. Oh, you're done. Like you all fucked. All up in you, get up and suck the life out of you, for lack of better words. No pun intended. Now see how that works? It didn't have to lean into, this wasn't about a debate on religion and spiritual and philosophical views and bents and beliefs. It was about addressing energy. And behavior. Even if it's a double life secret behavior. That's what happened with me. This is the story. It is what it is. My siblings, possibly siblings, cult leaders. Sorry that doesn't fit. Actually, I'm not sorry. Cancel, delete, strike, right? Case of that. I'm not. I'm open. I'm liberated. I'm free. It's truth whether people want it to be truth or not. Siblings, mother, co-leaders. What's the assignment for the new recruitees? Finish my sibling. And my grandson and nephew. But during the day, with other friends and family members that are not enthralled and entangled in the truth of who they are, that don't know nothing about it, by day it's hallelujah. Praise God. I am saved, delivered, set free, I'm full of the Holy Ghost, a lot. Hallelujah. Sound familiar yet? We drawing a connection yet? Going as far as to connect with authority figures, police, corruption, corrupt enterprises, people who can put folks on a watch list, and fusion apps, and get a community organized harassment, going to basically be terrorists by proxy. Sound familiar yet? That's what that thing did in the scriptures in which y'all read. Turned it into some kind of cause, because that's what that thing did back then. Convincing people that the light ones was her, and she was the light one, just like in Dark Shadow. That hoe was good too. The town square people were stupid, and they fell because she was slick though. I mean, because she was convincing, she was slick. And since they didn't have no depth, no critical thinking, and no discernment, and no nothing else, and since they were all under spells, see, that's the lesson of the hour, because when you get yourself involved in that kind of shit, that should already be in the pamphlet. It's to me, it should be in the pamphlet. You go, okay, caution, you're going down a path, you doing nefarious dealings with this whole bitch, nigga. So chances are they doing some fuckery on you. Proceed with caution, understanding that possibly as you're reading this fine print, they are currently doing rituals on you. Proceed with caution. You gotta have control. That's the whole Jezebel whole thing. But see, you gotta have control. You gotta have an illusion running. How else are you gonna get people to be loyal and dedicated to be fucked up? How else? And be convinced that they are not being fucked up. As they lie and say, they did this to me. They abused me. They're the abuser. They abused me. They used me. They took me for granted. They tried to sleep. They slept with mine. These are all confessions. Everything that they're accusing is confessions of what they did. They slept with my exes, or they hit on my exes, and they abused my children. That's what they did to the collective's children. Mm-hmm. They're a prostitute. Mm-hmm. They're a prostitute. You can call it high class all you want, but bottom line, but the point that I'm making is the swap, and this is how they're able to do that. And then as they do the abuse behind the scene, and the triggering and trying to get reactive abuse, and recruiting all these people, it helps to solidify it. Because once again, usually these are double lives. There's nobody in this planet, on this planet universe, would believe that my people were cult leaders. I know that. And I know why. If people will start researching and studying certain things for themselves instead of just collective, we ain't no code because we don't have any of the bases. It's not there. We're loners. We don't run in crowds. We don't rally a bunch of people to do shenanigans. We don't operate. We don't have pawns and minions doing our bidding. So that just dissipates any notion that the collective is a fucking cult leader. There we go. So whenever y'all see this video, I hope you're able to pull something from it and see all this stuff from that perspective. Maybe it'll branch and expand awareness and human behaviors and all of these things, and even looking past the surface of all of us, our uniforms, our various uniforms that we all wear. But there are some of us that's got a little bit more danker and darker. Rarely are you going to see somebody with a name tag that says, I am a cult leader, stalker, toxic killer, toxic crazy nigga, bitch. That likes to sacrifice children and disabled people and light ones. You're not going to see that. They're going to have on all white on the first and third Sunday. You know why I say that? Because I need the world to understand, to understand, to overstand. Appearances is nothing. These are ploys and decoys. Give to this charity so you can be known for giving to this charity. Give this donation over here to this church so you can be known to be giving. Volunteer over here with this, you know, so you can be associated with that. But that way, nobody will look at you. Nobody will look at you. They won't look at you. They won't see past your glamour. They won't see past your bellies. They'll be too busy looking at how you're a faithful servant and a contributing member of the society and community. I need the world, or should I say I encourage the world. I cancel me because I don't. I encourage. Take off your blinders and take off your limitations. Take off, become self-aware, look at your own biases first and foremost. Your own partialities. And then be willing to expand and understand that not everything is quite as it seems on all ends. The things that we automatically assume and automatically equate based on our perception and our reference point, that we automatically assume as negative or bad, isn't necessarily much like everything that we automatically associate as pure, good, and right also is not necessarily the case. More often than not, the reason why these hideous, insidious things happen is because something, in most cases, had a persona of its opposite. So they operated as a predator and pandered to the population in which is targeted. Just because if I come on here and I can talk with a high-pitched voice or a super soft whisper tones or, you know what I'm saying? It don't necessarily mean that I'm any of that. I could be a hellion for all you know. I could be a cold killer, baby. As soon as I click off the video. Don't mean none of that. And I put on an apron. Here's good. You want some cookies? You want some cookies? Shit is laced with strychnine. But we've got to see this automatic, you see how the conditioning of our mind or the hacking of our brain? Ooh, my grandmama used to bake chocolate chip cookies just like that when I was little. I remember she had this yellow, walls in the kitchen with a green foam, old school rotary. And, like this whole nostalgic. So we put all sense of critical thinking, deep thinking down. she's so sweet. As soon as I came in, she was so hospitable. She was, she was hospitable. Oh my goodness. And she's planning your demise. She has a secret cave, bitch. Go in the back. Her whole ass got a secret cave with a shrine of the target. Dolls and pictures and all sorts of shit. A whole terrorist you fucking dealing with. An energetic terrorist. A soul terrorist. A spiritual, physical terrorist. What do terrorists do? You also investigate that. If they can't get to you, they get a group to study and research how in which they can. If they can't do it personally. They infiltrate, they seek means to infiltrate your population. And from the inside, then it's where they seek to destroy you. The energy that is Jezebel cannot accept no. And has no regard for boundary. That's going to click for some of y'all at some point as well. Even if they quietly nod and smile and say okay, that quiet nod and smile is them already calculating their retaliation. Because, once again, how dare you tell them no? How dare you point out anything to them? How dare you walk away? How dare you have any kind of autonomy and boundary? It'll all make sense someday. So, word to the wise, stop assuming. Word to the wise, believing and thinking that what you know and believe is the absolute of all things. Word to the wise. If you're not directly involved or around enough to know and see for yourself, don't assume and run with nothing. Word to the wise. Question yourself. That's the path of becoming self-aware. Question your own motives, your own intention. your own conduct, your own perceptions. Word to the wise. If you are somebody that's on the religious side, or even the spiritual side, or just somebody who is philosophical and you know, you try to base your life on some very wise principles, then whatever you are, then word to the wise. Don't just quote and write and type and post. Be. And learn how to slow down enough to give yourself space enough to make a proper wise choice and not just say make good choices. But slow down in order to do it. So that we make more decisions that's based on what we would want done to ourselves versus in haste, ignorance, lack of emotional regulation, our own prejudices, word to the wise, making more and more choices that we can live with and that would reflect what we would want done otherwise we ain't about shit. And I don't care who it is and what we got.